Hello,
Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the TechBus podcast.
Strap on your
Or the
seatbelts.
pilot episode.
Wait,
the pilot episode.
this is a bus. We don't have seatbelts. Never mind.
Woo.
Some people say we should have
Go.
seatbelts.
Anyway,
Hello.
now we introduce ourselves.
Yes, my name is Alan Bowman, otherwise known as Tech Fluidity on YouTube.
You don't know me.
Okay.
Well, this is what we kind of intended to make when we started this whole thing.
All right, Ryan, you go.
All right. My name is Ryan, aka Dell 0304.
The guy who doesn't even work on Dells anymore.
Nope.
Oh, yeah.
Nope. I haven't touched a Dell in like, I don't know, a few weeks.
I don't know. What about those laptops you got at the dump?
Well, that was like a year or two ago.
Oh, okay.
The last Dell laptop I bought was actually the little 11-inch Inspiron. So that was like 6 months ago.
Actually, he was. I should mention this is going to be an explicit podcast before I say this, but he was fucking a Latitude and fries the other day.
It was an E7240, and those things are fucking dank. Those things look amazeballs. But it was like $500 for a dual core, and I was like, nah.
All
I
right,
kind of
Noah.
feel bad because Noah didn't introduce himself and Chris didn't
Noah.
introduce himself.
All right, I'm Noah Hudson from Brono 98 Productions.
Yeah, dude. He's a dank meme.
And I'm Exodium. Well, Chris Exodium. You know me on YouTube probably because you followed Ryan's channel
Yeah.
to mine.
I was going to
That's
say,
most
if
of my
you,
viewers. Let's be honest.
if you know
Chris
me, you
is-
probably know Chris.
Chris is a gateway drug.
Yeah, dude.
So let's open the show with some a rant about my current mic and kind of a way to basically give you guys a disclaimer because my real mic is currently on order and it won't be here till the 11th. I'm currently using a Blue Snowball Ice, which will drop out every 10 minutes or so.
Can confirm.
And it is the worst mic I have ever owned in my life. It is the worst use of $40 I can think of off the top of my head right now. It is prevented my system from booting because it's just that shitty. And Ryan can probably think of some other creative things to say about because I bought one right after he did.
I would rather drag my balls through a pile of broken glass than buy another snowball.
TLDR, it sounds good, but it's bad built.
Basically.
It's not a good mic. There's so many better options. If you even go like $10 more, I think I got the old Samsung CO1U, which is actually pretty baller from what I'm hearing.
Noah and I
Ryan
are
has
also
the-
using this mic, yeah.
Yep.
Well, Ryan
can
has
confirm.
the better version of. What
Yeah, I have the
got.
pro version, so you can actually plug headphones into it, but like, why would you want to do that?
I have the same version Chris is getting. Can't confirm is dank.
Yeah, whereas my Snowball, I have to keep resetting it every so often because there was like, wait, where'd he go? He died.
I like it
Right.
because you can go, yeah.
Oh god. So with that said on the mics,
All right.
shall we launch right into our topics?
Yep, let's do
Might
it.
as well, yeah.
Let's talk about our good friend up at Apple, the
Timmy.
good Lord Johnny I mean Tim Cook.
Timmy.
Sir Johnny Ive. Now we're talking about Tim
Not
Cook.
been enough.
Tim Cook.
And apparently, according to this article that I'm reading, he took a cut in pay because
After
they didn't.
disappointing 2016.
Yeah, Apple didn't really do so well this quarter, and so like, yeah, of course.
Gee, I wonder
Well,
why.
I
Yeah,
wonder-
really. Like, I mean, it's
Like-
not like they completely neglected their Mac line or anything.
Okay, so they kind of started off with the iPhone 7, I feel like, which was a kind of a disappointment all around. I feel it's like the iPhone 7.
I like
comes off-
mine.
I mean, yeah, you love yours, I know, because you're an Apple fanboy. But
Nigga, whoa. Wait a minute. Whoa.
Man, what is this,
Okay.
a podcast or a roast session?
But getting back to the point here, they removed the headphone jack, which as much as we can go on about how that standard is so old and needs to die and all this wonderful stuff, the problem I always said with that, I'm not making any, I can't English right now. The problem with that is that there was no real universal standard to replace it. And Lightning is not a universal standard. I'm sorry, Apple, no. And I know that pissed off a lot of people. And I kind of felt that was kind of leading well into what they were going to do with the MacBook Pro, which from visiting the Apple subreddit, I know a lot of people were sitting pretty on like even 2008 MacBook Pros, just waiting for anything to come out late last year. And then suddenly Apple's like, well, now we've got these Skylake MacBook Pros, and they are not very good. They are way too thin. The keyboards are, depending on who you ask, personally, I think they're awful, and they sound like a cheap Dell keyboard from like the mid 2000s. They have no usable ports for someone today because everything is still USB-A, so you have to buy adapters for everything.
Okay,
And
on that subject, I do think it's like pretty like I guess forward thinking with the
Yeah,
USB-C ports, but what I don't like is that they locked out a bunch of older Thunderbolt devices, and
oh yeah, I
like
agree.
and there's gonna be no replacement for an SD card slot. Like cameras are gonna continue to use that fucking card for like 5-10 more years at least. So like,
And
there's no
Apple and Mac OS 10 or Mac OS nowadays still doesn't support the wireless standards that most cameras that do include Wi-Fi use.
exactly. So I think that's kind of like a BS excuse.
Continuing on with this, like the fact, yeah, I do like that they're pushing USB-C because it is really a good connector, but they kind of did it in a half-assed way where they didn't really think about like, let's put a USB-A port alongside it rather than just going all in.
Agreed.
I know a lot of people like to draw comparisons back to the floppy drive, but the thing with the floppy drive is the floppy drive did appear alongside the CD drive for quite some time before it eventually took over completely.
Well, and like
So-
we've discussed before, the same thing with like Firewire and Thunderbolt. Like they were
Yeah.
side by side for like 2 years.
Right.
Like they're side by side. I'm on 2012 MacBook right now.
Exactly. Like,
So-
and that's the way they should have handled it. I
And
feel.
yeah, I agree. And I mean, let's not forget that the current MacBook is also like a pile of compromises. Like for the pro industry, they need those ports, and now they don't have them, and they have to buy a ton of adapters for everything.
Not to mention
What-
the shoddy battery life on the new
Yeah, I
ones,
was gonna
too.
mention
yeah,
that
the battery
too.
life is garbage.
So
But-
bad that the latest Sierra version just removed the battery estimated
For
time.
real. Like
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, we're not gonna make the battery any better. Instead, we're just gonna remove the estimation so people don't focus on it. Like,
and
bruh,
it's
come
so
on.
so many people say, and I want to mention it just because I love the sheer absurdity of it. I do like how I can walk in, if I were truly dead set on going all in on the Apple ecosystem, I could go into an Apple store right now, buy a MacBook Pro, buy an iPhone 7, take both home, and be unable to connect them up to each other out of the box.
That is like freaking ironic as hell.
Worse yet, the earpods that come with the iPhone 7 cannot be used on any Mac. So
or anything else for that matter.
So like I remember when Apple actually used that as a selling point for their Macs. Like, hey, they work with your iPhone earbuds. You can use the mic, you can use the volume controls. It's great. Now you can't. And last but not least, with the whole MacBook Pro is why I feel like they are such a letdown compared to everything that came before it. Even though the newer MacBook Pros, like the one our good friend here, Ethan, has, like they have SSDs that can be removed.
Yeah.
Are they proprietary to those MacBooks? Yeah, but you can
Yeah.
remove it. And people like OWC make docks you can stick them into and get the data off them. New MacBook Pros, no, that shit's
Soldered
soldered to
in.
the motherboard. So if that motherboard dies, your data goes right with it. And they do have docks at at Apple Repair they can dock your motherboard into, but still, it's like you pretty much can't get your data back off of it unless you pay Apple ridiculous amounts of money to get it off for you.
On that subject, like, I mean, with the whole soldered components thing, like, there is no excuse. Like, there's the Dell XPS 15, which is pretty much just as thin as the outgoing Retina MacBook Pro, and it has RAM slots and M2 hard SATA drives and all this stuff that you can swap out, no problem, and it's not even any thicker. So I mean,
Well,
I feel that Apple just decided that adding a RAM slot wasn't a good business move.
Well, hell,
And here I am sitting with my 2013 MacBook Pro with 8 gigs of RAM that I'll never be able to change.
I have a question though. Who complained about the weight and size of the previous generation MacBook Pros? I did not.
Nobody.
Absolutely fucking no one.
I mean, it is kind of nice that my 15-inch MacBook Pro only weighs 4 pounds, but I mean, I would have gladly, been okay with the older weight and size.
I'm okay with the pre-unibody MacBook Pro's weights. There's I mean, for something even carrying on your back, it's not too cumbersome. So I guess
we have to remember that we're like the minority in the tech world right now. They're trying to appeal to soccer moms and teenage girls.
Right. On a Pro
go
machine.
Wow, look at that. So shiny and thin. I gotta buy it.
It is also fun to mention that the Apple subreddit kind of ate itself alive over that, the new MacBook Pros, and actually a lot of people basically said, well, I'm going to go to Dell, or I'm going to go to Razer.
I mean, Apple's just ignoring the, creative professionals that that carried them through the 90s even.
And then Microsoft's like, hey, come here, we've got you.
Yeah, they're just like, all right, I got you, fam.
So let's have a moment of silence for our fallen comrade, the MagSafe port.
Oh yeah, I know.
And everything Apple Pro did a video about that too, where he tried to kill the USB-C port and succeeded, I might add.
Yeah.
By tripping on it.
I don't feel like they should have gone all in this early, because it's still going to be like 2 or 3 more years at least until we see USB-C become a thing. And by then, I'm probably not going to replace all my peripherals, but we'll see how that goes, obviously. But
I thought your game plan was to get a 2015 if it came down to it.
I want to, but I mean, I'm not going to be able to afford that ever. I mean, I probably could if I just saved up and stuff, but man, I don't want to spend $2,000 on a computer when I could spend $2,000 on my car or something.
Yeah, that would be more important.
Like those rims that you damaged.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my god.
This would be a great segue to the next story. Because speaking of rims,
before we do that, I do want to spend one last second. So it isn't all doom and gloom on Apple's part. I will say that I did go out to try. Actually, Ryan and I went out to try out the AirPods.
Mm-hmm.
They were actually pretty decent.
They were very nice. I like them. Yeah.
That's one thing I will say Apple did get right. I mean, they may be pricey, but just how they work, Apple did think about that when they were doing it. So I will give them props for those. They're fun to hate on, but I mean, actually go try, legitimately go to your Apple store and try a pair. They're pretty good.
Yeah, dude.
Anyway, so as Alan was saying, our next topic.
So
speaking of rims, I get it.
Yeah. So I guess I'll be the narrator for this one.
Yeah, we'll let you take this one, buddy.
So now keep in mind this is an older article, but I brought it up before we were doing this. So yeah, sex toys and the Internet of Things collide. What could go wrong? There's a lawsuit that mobile app siphons data on vibrator intensity settings and other usage stats on an internet-connected vibrator. And yes,
I never
a sex
thought
vibrator.
This would be a problem in society.
Me either.
What?
This just goes on the whole Internet of Things crap, where it's every single thing. Your refrigerator is connected to the internet. Your, obviously it's served with your TVs and your phones and whatnot, but now it's going to refrigerators, toasters, just general appliances you don't need connected to your TV.
And the worst part about all those is that none of them are secure.
Because they don't get updated.
Yeah, I can't help but think, this is going to be the plot for Watch Dogs 3.
Oh, yeah.
Real.
No.
Hack vibrator.
No, the next Saints Row, dude.
They're going to make a botnet of all those.
Don't even bring up Saints Row. We don't talk about the game anymore.
The dildo bat, man.
After what they've done,
Guys, let's just see how much bullshit we can get away with. That's Saints Row for you.
And not only that, screw over the fan base that's been there from the beginning.
Wait.
Saints Row more like
I know
Taints
this
Row.
is a hell of a segue, but I have to ask what the fuck happened.
So, like, I'm probably the worst person to tell this story, but basically, right? So there's this character in the first game who kind of, stabs you in the back. He gets you blown up on this boat, right?
Yeah.
Into the second game, you're in a coma, and you hear about this guy you wake up from your coma, and during the entire game, you hear about this guy, but you never see him again. And 3 doesn't mention it. I think 4 mentions it once or twice. And when it comes to Gat Out of Hell, which is their latest release, you get to kill him, but he doesn't even look like him. He's just a random pedestrian. So it's like, it's fucking pointless.
Gat Out of Hell just struck me as kind of like, what the hell are they trying to do?
Android 4 gave me the same effect because it's basically 3, but with this glitchy weirdness. I just did not get it.
I
And
tried to watch a
aliens.
speed run on it because I just couldn't take the game otherwise. Like, Saints Row is a game I just cannot take seriously.
I was a sad sob who bought it like a couple days after it came out.
I
Full
have
price.
Saints Row 2 and I have yet to touch it.
2 is good. I mean, it's
And 3
very
is good
buggy on
too.
PC.
3 is good
But-
too.
Yeah. But, like,
I love how we spent all of we gave the Internet of Sex Toys all of the time that
It deserved.
Linus gives Verizon.
pretty much.
Yeah. Do we want to talk? I know it's not in the notes, but do we want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I was hoping it would be in the CES news article, but it's probably not. So
Let's talk about AMD a little bit because nobody's giving them the time of day, and I feel like AMD is important as all hell right now. In
They
the
need to
light
come
of
back, yeah.
in the light of KB Lake being a pretty big letdown.
Well, Intel's just kind of sitting on their mountains of cash, and they don't have any competition, so there's no incentive to make their stuff better.
I think it's kind of fucked in a way that I like. Like Ryan and I, we made a deal some time ago where he ended up with my 4790K, and I ended up with his 4690K, and I've kind of wanted to get a replacement 4790K for my build. I've been looking around; the prices are still ridiculous. For one, like they're still people are still selling them for almost MSRP used. Like, why? So, getting back to AMD, I think their position here is very important because Intel pretty much phoned it in with KB Lake. And Skylake, to be honest, wasn't even that much of an improvement. The only thing it really brought was DDR4 to the desktop.
Honestly, I think Haswell was the last time I was excited about an Intel release.
I don't think
Sandy
Intel,
Bridge.
Even that was a
for me.
stretch.
Sandy Bridge,
Intel
man.
hasn't been doing much of anything since Sandy Bridge because
Yeah.
Sandy Bridge was when AMD was still they were in the game. They weren't actually beating Intel, but they were still kind of not far behind.
It was right before Bulldozer.
Yeah, and so the Phenom 2, it's not octa-core. It's a 6-core processor.
Yeah.
That thing was a beast of a processor. And the original i series that Intel put out wasn't very good. So basically AMD almost could have had them with Bulldozer if Bulldozer didn't suck. But Intel just decided, no, we're pulling out all the stops with Sandy Bridge. And Sandy Bridge is really good. It's got a soldered on heat spreader. It's overclocks great. It's a great chip and still holds up well to this day, actually. I know a lot of Twitch streamers that still use 2600Ks and haven't felt the need to upgrade to anything more recent because of it. So since then, Intel's kind of just been phoning it in. Ivy Bridge was all right. Haswell was all right. Broadwell was a step back. Skylake was kind of a step forward.
Well, Broadwell was just low power stuff, wasn't it?
Right.
They still made a desktop. They still made desktop chips that will actually slot into a Z97 board
Huh.
with proper BIOS updates, I might add.
Yeah.
But it was just ridiculously bad. Like they've just been sitting there like, we're doing a whole lot of nothing because AMD can't compete.
Honestly,
why-
AMD hasn't had a comparable processor that can actually compete with Intel since like 2006.
Yeah,
which is pretty
that's
sad.
because
And they need to come back.
that's because I guess AMD has been hemorrhaging so much cash. This is pure speculation, by the way, that they decided to focus on the segment of the market that Intel doesn't want to bother with, which is like the lower end of the market with like their APUs. And, you know, still, even though bulldozer based chips are still kind of they're still good value chips at the bottom end of the market if you need something to just get by.
Yeah, knowing that at least as far as integrated graphics go, at least theirs is somewhat comparable or decent compared to Intel's solution.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I would say AMD definitely has the market cornered on the low end of the spectrum.
Yeah, their APUs are decent as long as you don't get like a crappy one like the E1.
And they've been really hitting in the park with their GPUs lately.
Oh yeah, the RX 480 for good example. Like it started out like okay, but now with the driver updates and such, it's actually beating the 1060 in some things.
Well, I mean, even the 390 was beating the 970 last generation in some things.
Yeah, they've been doing very well in the video card space, but then again, like I said, nobody's really paying them any mind, which is kind of a shame.
I was almost going to go with a 390, but like I didn't like how big the card was and how much power it required, so I went with the 970.
Like that 3.5 gigs, huh?
Oh yeah, that's great. Honestly, that has not impacted my performance.
That mine's not really big. I have an MSI variant, so.
I
was looking at the Asus variant. It was huge.
It is. I couldn't even fit my case.
The 970 isn't no power sipper either, though. Like when I had it in my PC, it was actually triggering the overload protection.
So you were saying it was triggered?
Shut up. So I mean, I want AMD to get back in it. And if their benchmarks on Ryzen are to be believed, then I'm hoping that they nail it, especially with the price, because oh man, Intel needs a fire lit under their asses so bad right now.
Unfortunately, they're still going with the 8-core thing, and I just don't.
Well,
think that's
so long
a
as
good
they're
idea.
not going like 12 and 16 core, I'm pretty.
Like,
they're
honestly,
still saying the same.
True, but like I feel like single core performance is far more important than multi-core performance across 8 cores. Like no application is going to take advantage of that, and that's why they can't compete. They need to release a 4 or 6 core CPU that can actually keep up.
They're probably working on it, to be honest.
I sure hope so.
Bit of interesting.
Because Intel's just getting complacent these days.
Something's interesting about Ryzen. Apparently, since it took them 4 years to create, they're expecting it to live on for 4 years without updating it.
Well, if Intel keeps sitting on their asses like they are.
Yeah.
That works for them.
That's not as far-fetched as it would have been 4 years ago.
People with Sandy Bridge are just like still getting on with their processors, and that's like what 6 years old now.
I could probably switch to it. I could probably switch to like a Sandy Bridge chip, and I wouldn't even notice the difference.
Right.
You should give me my 4790K back.
No, I'm
but yeah,
next one, but that ain't gonna work.
Ivy Bridge here is still running.
Oh, so I guess we should talk about
CES
and how disappointing it is.
I've not heard of one thing about CES. So like, what is it?
Is a dildo that will warn you very, very discreetly that your clothes are currently done.
Yep.
Wait, is that like legit?
No, but you know.
Or the remember the whole AirPods thing with the discrete subwoofer?
Oh God.
Look that up
I'm
on
so
Google.
out of the loop.
Dog is like.
I'll send it to you later.
Yeah.
The only thing I've seen from CES so far is NVIDIA basically just saying, hey, you can now stream to Facebook Live.
Oh yeah, I saw that on PC Master Race. I was like, what?
And let's focus on cars.
Oh no. Not only that, Nvidia also has the streaming service called GeForce Now. It'll cost you 25 hours for 20 hours of gameplay on a computer somewhere that has a 1060 graphics card in it, or 10 hours of the same gameplay with a 1080. Basically, you're allowed to stream based hourly, if I remember correctly, is what they're basing the pay on, and you're just streaming the games from some computer on the other side of the United States to your Windows or Mac based computer.
Might I add, stepping back a little bit, that is also why we need AMD to win.
Mm-hmm.
Because Nvidia is another company that's become complacent. Like, I would bet $1 million that if the RX 480 didn't exist, the 1060 would have been
Would
just
not
as
be
bad
half
as the
as good.
960.
Yeah, yeah, it wouldn't be half as good as it is.
Well, it's not just that. They would also get they've been pretty bad when it comes to their drivers recently as well, from what I
Oh, yeah.
understand.
Can we like segue off a minute and talk about how they're not providing drivers for OS 10?
Yes, we can.
It's so annoying. I actually ran a Hackintosh rig up until very recently, and I just got fed up waiting and just got rid of it because I have a real Mac now. I mean, I don't really need to Hackintosh, but it's nice to have a high-powered Mac system
All right,
to
but
use for Final Cut Pro.
to be fair, barring Hackintosh users, which, is probably a much bigger portion of the user base who uses their cards on Macs, how many people have old Mac Pros that they're putting 1060s into? Not very many.
Don't just think about it that way, though. Think about it for all these Thunderbolt peripherals that allow you to put graphics cards on your, or put desktop class graphics cards for your laptop.
Does macOS even support that?
I think it does, or it will be.
Well, then again, I feel at the current spot, like from NVIDIA's point of view, there is not much of an incentive to release web drivers.
Okay, that's one.
It would be great if they did.
I'm
not saying that, but I'm just saying there's no incentive to do it.
That's one of the big selling points of Thunderbolt, though. Thunderbolt 3 specifically, is it pretty much gives you PCIe on a cable.
Agreed.
And people who want it, the PC industry is actually making a big push towards thinner laptops, but bolted up to an external enclosure,
like Razer and Alienware for
the Razer Core.
Yeah,
which actually works with the MacBook, I might add.
I forget what the Alienware one is, but it's very proprietary, if I remember correctly.
It's the isn't it? Oh no, never mind. I was thinking of the Razer.
Well, you
one.
are Dell 304. You should know.
I don't keep up with Alienware.
Dell 304 here.
I don't even keep up with Dell that much anymore.
This segues nicely into our next subject because nothing really was of note was really announced at CES. Dell's fuck up.
Oh yeah, this is a good one.
This is a good one.
Yeah.
So,
do you want me to talk about it since I am Dell 0304?
Or do you want me to talk? I can also talk about it since I was the one that originally shared this lovely
fair enough
link. So basically, a friend of mine the other night linked me to a deal Dell was having on their website, at 2 o'clock in the morning, at least on my time zone, where they were selling an Western Digital Blue 250 gig SSD for $20, and then there was also a M.2 variant, same brand, same size, for $30. And so obviously a bunch of people went on this deal and took advantage of it. I sent this to, of course, these guys right over here. And so people took advantage of it. Unfortunately, for a lot of people like myself who did order OneDrive, Dell canceled it. My order before even shipped.
It's because they meant to put $20 off for $80 instead of $80 off for $20.
Right.
I mean, mine's still on track. I didn't get a cancellation email or anything. It's still going.
So here's from what I gather, lurking around PC Master Race. Here's what happened. People who opted to pay more for the expedited shipping got theirs because they got it shipped out before Dell could correct their mistake. People who opted for the slower shipping, some of them got their shipping notifications, and the unlucky rest of us got a cancellation notice.
So
However,
basically, it's a crapshoot if you're gonna get it.
however, even if your stuff is already in transit, reportedly Dell is intercepting shipments and having them brought back. So even if it's already on the way, you're not out of the woods until it physically appears on your doorstep.
Or if you better hope that, especially if it's on the carrier's or whoever shipment carrier they're using, you better hope that it's on their dime, and they would be like, well, it's either ship it back for more money and wasting our penny, or just shipping it as they originally intended.
I honestly feel
So-
like they should have just let him go. Like, come on.
Well, the problem is, I think way too many of them got shipped out. Like, I'm on board with them canceling like the orders, like people who ordered like more
20.
than 5.
Right,
Like, those people are
Agreed,
obviously
but if like you
buying
just
it to
ordered
scalp
one,
them.
right.
But like people who ordered like 2,
Well,
you know,
I
small
was on
orders.
Slick Deals, and someone did order 5. I'm assuming they must have selected expedited shipping, and they got all 5.
But see, I coming from me, I work a retail job, and I kind of know how much that my store in particular pays for items. I know that Dell most likely didn't pay much more than the price that they were selling it for by
exactly, their
mistake.
profit margins are pretty fat. So like,
You know,
I mean,
it wouldn't have
I
hurt them that
wouldn't
much.
cancel the orders, but I mean, I feel like they should have just let it go.
I know probably like someone like Amazon would have let it go, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon like sends 2 things out instead of 1 sometimes. I've heard.
Yeah, it happened
I mean,
before.
I just think that like I don't know. I feel like I can't really put it into words. I just think it's reasonable, like if people who ordered 1, like they got their stuff, because that way, like I just think like the people who ordered millions of them are the ones, yeah, they deserve to get their orders canceled because
Yeah.
like they bought it with the intent to resell for the most
Agreed.
part.
Whereas a lot of us who did buy it, I didn't, but a lot of us that did just bought them because they needed it, and it was a good deal. So
Kind of reminds me of the time Best Buy once shipped like 10 iPads out to somebody, I think, or no, it was like 5 iPads, I think, accidentally to somebody, and they were just like, "Yeah, go ahead and keep them. Like, give them, like, give them out as Christmas gifts, and we're cool like that."
Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure, if
Best
they didn't
Buy.
say that, then people would just be like, oh, well, fuck you then. What can you do?
Best Buy out of all retailers let that slide.
yeah,
Well,
that is
probably
amazing.
because 1, they didn't think they were gonna get it back. 2,
Right.
hey, let's make lemonade out of lemons. We can turn this into a really good PR opportunity
Yeah.
and get people in the door. Anyway, with that
Speaking of getting
said,
in the doors and driving a vehicle, let's move on to
Oh,
our next
God.
topic. That was so forced, but I wanted to get it. That was the most
For it's
forced
like
transition
like
ever.
your $2,000 rims.
Hey, guess whose car looks better? Exactly.
Ooh,
Guess whose
Obsession.
car doesn't consume oil?
Oh,
It's not burning oil.
low
it's
low
spitting
blow.
Anyway,
All
I'm
right.
probably not going to talk much for the rest of this because this is kind of like not my forte.
same.
Pun totally
Me either.
intended.
Kia Forte. Get it?
Kia Forte.
Corning CS show car proves Gorilla Glass isn't just for your phone. So essentially what is going on now is that, if I am looking at this correctly, is they are going to be building Corning Gorilla Glass.
Are in the back, my bad.
Well, you're welcome back. They're going to be building Corning Gorilla Glass in windows, side windows, and the dashboard, which adds up to noticeable weight savings all around. Supposedly it's 30% lighter than the soda lime glass featured on most production vehicles, which not only improves fuel economy, it moves the center of gravity lower of the car to improve handling.
Okay, so I'm not looking at the article right now because
Sorry,
I'm
basically
clearly not in with it.
paralyzed
But, like,
article.
part of the reason, oh god, and
Plagiarized.
that's why I don't go to digital trends, because it's automatically playing a video.
Yep.
Okay, so the thing that gets me with Gorilla Glass is obviously it's full glass. I know most car windshields, they have like a layer of plastic that make it so when, say something, if it can force its way through the windshield, it doesn't take the entire windshield out with it.
It's safety glass, yeah.
Yeah. So is Corning going to have something like that on their Gorilla Glass? Because I know the problem with Gorilla Glass is while it is very much hardened, like on most phones, it has really good scratch resistance and, impact resistance so long as it's directed towards the front. But if anything, like if the tension is off just a little bit, it goes kaboom.
Agreed.
no, I get
like,
that this
it's
is-
gonna need to be safety glass, just
I-
like any car
Right.
has.
Well, I get this is a more, a smaller screen, so it's gonna matter less. But I know when I dropped and cracked my Galaxy S7 that there actually wasn't very many like chipping or anything like that nature. It was just simply cracked.
Yeah.
Like you could I mean, yeah, there were some rough spots, but you could barely, in a lot of spots, you could barely even feel the any like impact or whatever.
I mean,
Again,
most of the time, like, honestly, like, if you take like a sledgehammer to a car window or something, like, you'll know that like the whole window just shatters into a million tiny pieces, and like that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, but like for the
So, like,
side windows.
They need to have something like that, or else no
Like-
car manufacturer is going to use this.
Well,
I know. Okay, I actually have a little bit of experience with this because, like, back in 2014, my car at the time, a '98 Chevy Prism. I guess the neighbors got in a bit of a gunfight. I know, weird thing to happen, right? Bullet went right through the windshield, and it went through the car pretty much. It didn't break the windshield all the way through. Like it left a nice hole in it and some cracks forming out from it, but like the rest of the windshield was relatively untouched. And I just can't see that happening with Gorilla Glass. Like if it goes through, boom, the whole windshield's gone.
Yeah, the cracks will shred.
Well, not only that, you've got to think about the how expensive this is going to be to put on cars. Most likely, the only cars that are going to get this are supercars
or luxury cars. Yeah.
Also, if that is the
you're not going to find
case,
this on your average Toyota or something.
Also, if this is the case, and it ends up just completely shattering and not as durable as your traditional car window. That's also a concern if you wreck the car, because then you have a bunch of glass shattering at you.
Exactly, and that's why they made safety glass.
Right.
That doesn't do that. Like basically has that layer that keeps it together.
All right. Well, I think we
might
should
just
move
do
on to the
that.
next article now.
Hey,
Oh boy, the GM.
Oh, great! It's a General Motors
article. Why are we
article.
talking about GM?
Because I found it and I thought, why not?
Okay, so it's about the ignition switch thing that was,
Yeah, man, they could win.
stuff.
They could win, but apparently the judge denied GM's motion to dismiss the case.
This was
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah.
last summer, by the way.
What the fuck?
No, this is August 2016. Close enough.
The sex toy story was from September.
It's only like 5 months ago. Come on, they just go with it.
Hey, this is whatever was on the front page of Out a Week. So like,
Wow, so they're saying that like because of the weight of some people's keys is what made the ignition switch turn. Like, come on, what?
I do still
Really?
like how now I can just keep my keys in my pocket and push a button.
Same.
Though my car has numerous times been like, oh, psych, lock the car while your keys are in the car.
Not same.
just keep the key in your pocket. Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
that's what I do. I
Well-
just keep it in my pocket.
The problem is when this happened, I was wearing my swim shorts with only one pocket, and I sure as hell don't want my keys in there with my phone, so...
Sure. Although I
Alright,
just
I
tend to
think
throw my
we,
phone on the... I just throw my phone in the cup holder and go on.
Same.
I have a little like the little cubby hole thing in the center console by the USB port. That's where I put my phone.
I used to do that, but mine keeps on slipping out. I need to get one of those grippy things.
Yeah, mine has like a little like a soft touch rubber thing so the phone doesn't move around. It's pretty swag.
So
All right.
GM, don't buy them. End of
Yeah.
story.
Basically, yeah. Okay, moving on
to our
last
next
article.
topic.
That goes without
Yeah.
saying.
On to our next topic. Ford, Toyota, and others team up to rival Apple and Google telematics dominance. Ugh.
English?
Yeah, can I get that in English, please?
They're trying to pretty much build their own app ecosystem, is what I'm able to
Good luck.
gather
Well,
from
Toyota
this.
doesn't sell a fuck ton of cars. I mean, they could technically do it.
True,
Yeah.
yeah. But like, I mean, nothing's more convenient than plugging in your phone and having your, infotainment system work off that.
Yeah, and basically what they're trying to do is make it open source, so it'll work between iPhone and Google Android
Oh, well, that's
phone.
good.
So that way, if you're using, or if you happen to switch, you don't want to change cars just to have Android Auto instead of CarPlay.
Exactly,
So,
yeah. It's got to support
that's
both.
what
Unless,
they're doing that.
Because
yeah,
cars are
plugging-
not something most people replace often.
Plugging your phone in is wonderful, unless you're Mazda.
Unless you're Mazda.
Well, unless you're 2014 Mazda.
Yeah, they got it right with the 2016 and up, but like I'm still salty about that.
Still need to attempt to swap the new head unit in.
You would do that.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, baby.
Hey,
Again,
man,
we talk about
what's
sex
a good
toys in this
podcast?
podcast.
Exactly. Like, what's a podcast without some sexual innuendos?
Especially when I'm around.
Anyway, here's
Yeah.
Bloodhound Gang.
Well, that just about concludes this podcast. We went through all our stories, so that's that.
That is that.
So
Anything you'd like to close with, good sirs?
if y'all want to see more of this, please, tell us. So go in the comments.
Like and
say-
subscribe, like and subscribe, like it. No, I'm kidding.
Oh
Well,
god!
yeah,
Now,
I
if we
mean,
hit
just-
100,000 likes on this episode,
Oh,
We'll
God,
give you
no.
the next episode, which we have already recorded. That is a lie.
And then also because this video is going to go on all of our channels pretty much, the next episodes in the series are going to be on the official TechBus channel.
which
We're putting just the pilot on all our channels just to kind of get it out there.
also, by the way, that's kind of our working title right now. If anybody has any better titles they'd like to suggest,
Yeah, if you have any suggestions
Great.
for a better title for the podcast, that we would be definitely open to that, because
you
I
wanna
didn't.
kinda-
I definitely did not approve of the tech bus, but I guess it works for now.
do you want to kind of explain where the origin of that name comes from, or do we want to just let people guess?
Let's keep it an inside joke, because then it won't be funny anymore if we tell everybody.
I mean,
Yeah,
it really
well-
isn't.
All I have to
All
say is
right.
Brent Kolb.
and, oh god!
Now he's gonna watch this and be like, "What the fuck?"
Yep. Because
Anyone that's watched Ryan for long enough probably already gets it.
Yeah, true.
Anyway,
All right, well, that's about it.
we'll see you all later.
Alrighty.
Bye bye.
Bye, peoples.
Peace out.
Bye.